Hey, what is up everyone? This is Rabbit Mittens and I'm going to do a really special list today. It's going to be my top 20 PS3 exclusives list with 5 runner-ups. I really hope you enjoyed this video and thank you to Devil for actually being able to do this for me. He's actually recently got a capture card that allows him to capture PS3 footage. So thanks to that, this list more or less would have just been me holding up the the copies of the games if it wasn't for him. So thanks for being able to do this for me, Devil. So, yeah, hope you really enjoyed this video because it took me a couple of days to actually do it. I haven't been able to finish off a game I've been playing because of this list. So, yeah, a few rules before we get started. There'll be no HD collections, meaning no, say, Sly Cooper collections, Shadow of the Colossus, you get my drift. They must be PS3 exclusives. They're not allowed to be on PC either, because I know a lot of Xbox fans like to do that. They must be PS3 exclusives. Also, if the game is released on PS3 first and made its way to another system, I will be counting it as long as the PS3 got it first. So that obviously is entailing that if the game was released to PS4, I'm allowed to count it because it was a PS3 exclusive, that kind of thing. Also, it's my list. So if you don't like it, just tell me why you don't like it. I know why someone's not going to like it because a certain game is not here. And the last but not least is one per franchise. Of course, I'm not going to be doubling up on any franchises. Not that much would be doubled up anyway. But yeah, let us begin and let's get started. Hope you guys enjoy. It's number 25. We have Time and Eternity as a runner-up. Released in 2012 in Japan and 2013 to the rest of the world. Developed by Image Spotch and published by NIS America. It's a 2D RPG, which is very weird combat, but it's very likable combat, to be honest. You use the analog stick to dodge left and right from enemy attacks, which is actually pretty cool. I like the main character. I like the actual supporting characters. The world's actually really nice to look at. It's very colorful, something you don't get a lot of these days. And yeah, it's a JRPG. It's the best way of putting it. I don't know if Devil has this game, so I'm thinking he's using a trailer for this. As I said, he's gonna record the games he has and just use a trailer if not. So once again, thanks for that, Devil. So yeah, Time and Eternity at number 25 as a runner-up. Number 24, Time Crisis 4. Released in 2006 in the arcades. I'll get to that in a minute. 2007 in North America and 2008 in the rest of the world. Developed by Namco, published by Sony Computer Entertainment. Now, the reason it's a runner-up, but the reason I'm counting it is because Sony actually helped with the arcade cabinet, so therefore it's a console exclusive to Sony. But I thought to myself, that's sort of not fair in a lot of ways, so I did put it as a runner-up, of course, even though it wouldn't have got into the list. But Time Crisis 4 is an on-rail shooter game. If you've not played an on-rail shooter game, very reminiscent of, say, Virtua Cop, House of the Dead, that kind of thing. Voice acting's your typical, on-rail shooter kind of thing. But it's very fun to actually play with others, even by yourself. It's actually quite fun. I highly recommend getting the Move for it, or the light gun if you can find it. But the best thing about this game is throughout the whole entire game, you're playing your generic Japanese rock music in the background, which is fine. But at the very end, like when you're actually on the very last stage of the actual mission, it starts playing Five Finger Death Punch, and I'm sitting there going, what? That came out of nowhere, which was just put a huge smile on my face, and just a big surprise. I won't be spoiling anything for any of these because once again, I don't like spoiling things for others. So yeah, Time Crisis 4, really good on-rail shooter, but a runner-up. So at number 23 we have Journey, released in 2012 by that game company and published by Sony Computer Entertainment. Okay, the reason it's runner-up and not on the list, because a lot of people will be expecting this to be on the list. If you think it should be on the list, by all means, you're not wrong. I just personally believe that the top 20 are my picks, remember. I think they're better games. That's just my opinion, of course. But let's get to Journey real quick. Journey's soundtrack is utterly gorgeous. It's one of the nicest things you'll ever hear from a video game. The world is beautiful to look at. The meaning behind the story is actually quite nice, even though the story is very, very, very short. Um, Game's a platformer. The game was... Everyone's played it near enough. It's like one of the most successful digital games of that generation. But as I said, I think the games that I'll be talking about soon are far better. That's just my opinion. So yeah, thanks. So up next we have at 22, Flower, released in 2009 by that game company and obviously published by Sony Computer Entertainment. The reason I have Flower above Journey in the runners-up is I love the whole... Flower is more of a relaxing puzzle game where you control flower petals and you use the motion control in your 6 axes to take it around the world, the stage. I love the music. I love the setting. It's gorgeous to look at. The actual meaning behind the story is very, very nice. It's not some hippie shit thrown down your throat. So yeah, the reason I don't have Flower in the top 20 again, it's very similar to Journey. I think the top 20 are better, but also Flower is just, once again, it's too short. It's about 3 to 4 hours long, and I can't justify it being in the list for that there. Just my personal opinion, guys. So yeah. So the last runner-up at 21 is SingStar, released in 2007 in North America and 2008 worldwide. Released by London Studios, created by London Studios, sorry, and published by Sony Computer Entertainment. Okay, the reason I've got this in the list, and I'm actually surprised myself that it didn't get into the list, but this list took me a while to do. I loved playing SingStar with Devil and my family members. It was so fun just to sing Meatloaf, that kind of stuff, even though we were like horrendous at singing. It was just so fun. But I thought to myself, the most fun I had with SingStar was with others. Playing it by myself was boring, to be completely honest. I thought to myself, well, that sort of explains to me why I shouldn't have it in the top 20. So yeah, but let's get to the game. It's a karaoke game, of course. The base game has actually very good songs on the disc, but if you don't like the actual base game songs, you could buy the Queen version, ABBA, Motown, and take that version and actually put them into your console, and you don't need to have the base version of the game to actually play them. The game will just put onto your PlayStation and you can play it through that. But yeah, unfortunately, we got no Iron Maiden version. I wanted an Iron Maiden version, but we still got ABBA, Queen, and Motown, so I can't complain there when you got some of the best genres and groups of all time. So yeah, SingStar at number 21. Ratchet Clank Tools of Destruction, released in 2007 by Insomniac Games and published by Sony Computer Entertainment. I believe this to be the best Ratchet & Clank on the PS3. Yes, more than Crack in Time. Now, I know a lot of people aren't going to like that because Crack in Time is fan favorite for the PS3 version. By all means, Crack in Time, if you like it more, that's well and good. I just personally prefer Tools of Destruction because I really enjoyed the villain. I liked the story. The weapon selection, I think, was personally better than Crack in Time. And let's not forget, it was a 2007 title. This was one of the very first games to show that consoles could catch up to Pixar movie style qualities. And I still believe Tools of Destruction to be top 3 Ratchet & Clank games ever made. I just love the game. I really do. If you look at the footage in the background, it's your traditional Ratchet & Clank, just, you know, a PS3 version of it, I suppose. And a special shout out to the actual DLC to this game, which was released on disc, which was called Quest for Booty. Quest for Booty was fantastic. If you can get Quest for Booty, by all means, definitely get it to go with this game. So yeah, that's number 20, Ratchet & Clank Tools of Destruction. So number 19 is going to cause some controversy. Genji's Days of the Blade. Okay, released in Japan and North America in 2006 and 2007 was worldwide released for the rest of us. Developed by Game Republic and published by Sony Computer Entertainment. Now, what I mean by is that it's a very controversial pick is a lot of people never played this game. They When they think of Genji, they think of the 2005 E3 presentation of Sony doing this game, which, if you've never watched it, you've definitely heard of the actual memes that were made from it, like attack the enemy crab for massive damage, or giant enemy crab, or this is based off Japanese history. So yeah, unfortunately the game was dead on arrival because of that E3. It destroyed any chance of this game having any sales and just overall being enjoyed by a fan base, which didn't buy the games anyway. But let's talk about the game. Graphics utterly fantastic. I think they still hold up very well today. The characters are very likable. The story is actually not bad either. It's not amazing, out of the way kind of thing, but it's actually quite enjoyable nonetheless. Unfortunately, it is just a single player game, so once you get the 6-hour story out of the way, there's not much to do outside of, just doing the story again. But I've left out one thing, and that is the combat. And the reason I've left that out is Kenji's combat is just Onimusha. That's what it is. You're playing Onimusha on the PS3, just not, an actual Onimusha game, just a game with a different name on it, so more or less. And I think this is why a lot of people have not tried it, and if they played it, they would enjoy it. Especially Onimusha fans, because I know Devil had not played this before, and I got him to play it, and he loved it. He was like, holy shit, this is amazing. Like, seriously, it's like Onimusha, just better graphics, which he's right. Yes, Onimusha's better, of course it is. Well, no one's going to complain about that. But that's just me. I think Genji is one of the best exclusives the PS3 had at launch anyway, and it's just a shame that no one bought it. So yeah, number 19, Genji, Days of the Blade. So number 18, we have Sirens, Blood Curse. Released in 2008 by Project Siren and published by Sony Computer Entertainment. Sony. So anyway, it's a third-person horror game with a bit of shooting in it, hack and slash. Very reminiscent of Silent Hills. It's practically what it tried to be. But the one thing this game done so bloody well was the atmosphere. Its atmosphere was phenomenal. Its soundtrack is goddamn gorgeous. It actually really puts the shits up you. That's how good it is. The characters are okay. They're not anything to write home about. The enemies are really, really creepy. They are very well done. And the final boss is, without spoiling anything, your mind will be blown. It's an amazing horror game, and it's a pity that no one has really played it. They've played some of the older games, but not the PS3 one, which, another thing to actually bring up, you know how Telltales is known for doing episodic releases where you buy episode 1 and you get the other episodes later on, or some of their early titles, they did it in episodical on disc kind of thing. Well, this did it as well, and this came out in 2008, as I said, where you completed chapter 1 and it would take you to the next chapter in a episodic style manner, which a lot of people never bring up, oddly enough. But yeah, Sirens Blood Curse at number 18, and I really think it should be talked about more by a lot of PlayStation 3 owners. So yeah. So up next we have LittleBigPlanet at number 17, released in 2008 by Media Molecule and published by Sony Computer Entertainment. This is going to be on everyone's list, of course. LittleBigPlanet is a fantastic platformer. I personally think the first is better than the second. The second is probably better in every way, but I just think the first is better. LittleBigPlanet was a surprise, actually. It just came out of nowhere because, I came at a time when the PlayStation needed a game because of, I'll get to that later on, but it needed games to save its system, and LittleBigPlanet came out of nowhere and showed that they were coming, essentially. It's a platformer with Sackboy, which he looks, he's made of, fabric. You've seen this picture before, of course. But downloading other people's worlds and creating your own is really fun, and it's actually where the game shines the most. some of the ones we've downloaded have been utterly fantastic and played together, with me and Devil and a few others. Um, Minus slapping each other on the pod. We used to do that a lot. Creating your own character and downloading skins for them from other franchises like Helghast from Killzone, Kratos from God of War and that. But the story's actually really good as well, and it's definitely a must-have for any PlayStation owner. I think we can all agree on that. So yeah, number 17, LittleBigPlanet. So number 16 we have Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm. Bear with me on this one, guys. Uh, Released in 2008 in Japan and 2009 everywhere else in the world. Created by CyberConnect 2 and published by Bandai. Uh, I was once a really big Naruto fan. I think a lot of people were. Um, I've always preferred the original Naruto to the Shippuden line. It's just my personal opinion. Um, so after the PS2 Naruto games, which by the way were utterly amazing, um, the Xbox started its ones off with the semi-open world ones they got. And the Wii had the Clash of Ninja, I think that's what it's called. So PlayStation had this, and because these were doing so well, the rest of them became multiplat to Xbox. But the first was exclusive and actually didn't become multiplat until the recent remake of the trilogy this year. So yeah, I will be counting it because it remained exclusive for so long. Um, Without spoiling anything for the game or Naruto, it's based off the first generation of Naruto. It's a fighting game with very anime graphical art style. It's actually very impressive to look at. Um, Unfortunately, there's no online multiplayer against other players, which was a bit of a shame. You could play against others with split screen, and the story was it followed through to the original, Naruto generation. All the content was free to this game as well, which is also should be a shout out for CyberConnect and Bandai. I love the boss battles in this game, and the amount of fun that me and my friends had playing this game against each other was actually really fun. Actually thinking about it now, it's a shame that I just haven't played the others against my friends. Like I've played them like single player wise and against random people, but not against others. So yeah. So that's number 16, Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm. Definitely check it out if you've not got the PS3 version. Even just buy the trilogy on Xbox One or PS4 or PC. I think PC's got it. And enjoy it through that because it is definitely a game worth checking out. So yeah, number 15 we have Warhawk. Warhawk was released in 2007 by Incognito Studios, and Santa Monica also helped them with it. Published by Sony Computer Entertainment, of course. Warhawk. Oh my god. If you mention PlayStation, online games for the PS3 era, this is one of the games that will always be mentioned, and it's the first game that really took off for multiplayer on the PS3. I remember it's the first, I think I said this before, but it's the first game I ever saw on a PS3, which was at Devil's cousin's house because he bought a PS3 day one. So he had Warhawk. Warhawk, I was blown away by how good it looks. It still looks very good today, actually. And by the way, I know it's multiplayer only and there's no single player to the game. The servers haven't been shut and you can actually create your own servers. So, thumbs up there. I remember seeing it and I just fell in love. And when I got my PlayStation, I got Warhawk, and the rest is history, I suppose. I mean, me and Devil enjoyed playing Warhawk, bought all the DLC to Warhawk. Um, to explain Warhawk very simply, think of Battlefield in third person mode, or think of the Battalion Wars on the GameCube and Nintendo Wii, and there's your Warhawk. Um, yeah, the Warhawks themselves, the aircraft, were actually really cool, and I love the design of them, and controlling them it was so good to control them as well. Um, yeah, it's still being played today, as I said, so shows just shows how much it's loved. And yeah, there's not really much to say. I love the map design, I love the weapons, I love the design of the vehicles, I love the character customization you could do. But yeah, it's only number 15 because there was no single player. If it's not a single player, I'd expect this to be a lot higher on the list. So yeah. So number 14 we have Heavenly Sword. Again, a lot of people know about this game, of course. Released in 2007 by Ninja Theory and published by Sony Computer Entertainment. It's a hack and slash, of course. It's called the God of War clone. Unfortunately, it came out the same year as God of War 2. And that's probably why it's got called the God of War clone for so long and got compared to God of War. It sort of is God of War the way it plays, and Nariko is very similar to Kratos in a lot of ways. Um, but I love this game. Is it as good as God of War? No, of course not. Um, but I love the characters. I love the setting. I love the combat. And the villain, King Bohan, done by Andy Serkis, is, oh my god, he's one of the funniest characters I've ever seen in gaming. One of the best characters, villains, period, actually. Um, Graphically, it holds up quite well today. So yeah, the amount of characters, amount of enemies they got on screen at once needs to be commended. How bloody well they did it was amazing. It just really was amazing. Voice acting, nothing short of amazing. Ninja Theory's always made superb games in general, actually, with voice acting. This is one of them. Soundtrack, very good as well. So, yeah, I can't really say much more about Heavenly Sword because it's just a single player game and I can't really spoil anything for anyone. Which I'm surprised Heavenly Sword has not got a PS4 remaster, which is very, very. It's actually fucking weird. It never got one, actually. So yeah, that's number 14. So number 13 we have Wipeout HD. I've talked a lot about this, so I won't go on too much about Wipeout HD. Wipeout HD was released in 2008 by Studio Liverpool and published by Sony Computer Entertainment. The Wipeout series has been going on for ages, and Wipeout HD was the first game to show me and a lot of others that a game can do 1080p at 60 frames on a PS3 with no slowdown, no graphical issues, any of that shit. It's a racing game, of course, if anyone doesn't know what it is. Very reminiscent of F-Zero. So, yeah. I love... To me, it's the best Wipeout game that was ever made. I love the menus. They were very slick, very nice to look at. I love the whole... when you're going through a tunnel, or like if you're jumping over like a hill, and you go airborne, the music changes according to what you're actually doing. And while we're on the subject of music, the soundtrack to this game is glorious. It's so goddamn good. Like, I'm usually not into that kind of music, but I would happily sit there and listen to Wipeout's music. That's how good it is in terms of soundtrack. So yeah, and that's all I'm gonna say. I went on too much about this in the past anyway, so yeah. So number 12, we have Resistance Fall of Man. Now, if you remember, I said at the start of this video, one per franchise, and I believe Resistance Fall of Man to be the best in the franchise. So, it was released in Japan and America in 2006 and 2007 for the rest of us. Obviously created by Insomniac Games and published by Sony Computer Entertainment. This was the first game I ever bought on my PlayStation 3 that didn't come on my PS3, so I've said before that Dead Space, MotorStorm, and Metal Gear Solid 4 came with my PlayStation 3. Well, this is the first game I bought with my, I went out of my way to go and buy that didn't come with my PlayStation 3. Because the night I bought my PS3, Devil will tell you this, we sat there and downloaded so many demos of exclusive games, like Heavenly Sword, Resistance, of course, his, different stuff like that there. And Resistance, we were just gobsmacked how great it was. But let's get to the actual game. I actually liked Hale in the first Resistance game because he was a silent protagonist, and unfortunately he was ruined in Resistance 2. Resistance 2 ruined a lot of things. I liked the weapon wheel that was reminiscent of Ratchet and Clank. Your health didn't regenerate. You had to go and find health packs, health vials, and that there to regenerate, to actually give, more health to your actual character. I love the weapons themselves. They were actually believable for the setting because it's set in the 1950s. Without spoiling anything, it's an alien invasion, more or less. It's a first-person shooter, if you haven't guessed. But the one thing I really do like about this game is the graphics. Now, the graphics are brown, very gritty, that kind of thing. But it suits the game well because it's doing what it set out to do, as in show war, hell, that kind of thing. Whereas I think Resistance lost that with 2 and 3, where 2 poured Vaseline over the lens and turned it into some ugly looking, colorful game that made no sense, and Resistance 3 looked like a bloody shell shaded game with its graphics. But Resistance 1, oh, so good. Story was actually quite long, it took about 9 to 10 hours to do. It was actually quite hard, the story, compared to 2 and 3 as well. Easy mode or normal on Resistance 1 would be hard mode for 2 and 3. Vehicle segments in Resistance 2 were great. They were fun. I liked the multiplayer to 1. It wasn't chaotic that 2 had. But I never played Resistance for multiplayer anyway. So yeah. Number 12, Resistance Fall of Man. Loved it. And if you prefer Resistance 2 or 3, by all means, good for you. But anyway, this is going to cause a bit of controversy. People are expecting this to be in at least the top 3. So number 11, we have Uncharted 2 Among Thieves. Released in 2009 by Naughty Dog and published by Sony, of course. I like Uncharted. Who doesn't? But I think over the years, the games that you're going to see coming up soon, like the top 10 themselves, are better games. And to me, I would go back and play before Uncharted 2. But let's actually get to Uncharted 2. Uncharted 2 was a graphical masterpiece. It's Naughty Dog. If I need to explain Naughty Dog, everything they touch is high quality. Uncharted 2 had a phenomenal story. It's the best in the series. The best villain in the series, even though he's not my favorite. Lazarvik is the best in the series. There's no denying that. It has Devil's favorite character, which is Flynn. I know that's his favorite character in the Uncharted series. He made his appearance in 2. And the multiplayer. I need to talk about the multiplayer real quick. The multiplayer is surprisingly fun. I mean, I actually like Uncharted 4's multiplayer as well, actually. But 2's came out of nowhere. Remember, Uncharted 1 never had multiplayer, and you didn't expect it to have multiplayer. Well, 2 actually did this very well, and the DLC, where you can play as the Helghast, Chimera, different stuff like that there, was actually really... It was weird at first, but you grow to it. You like it, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's the best way of putting Uncharted 2. I'm not going to go on because everyone's talked about Uncharted 2 to death, and, without spoiling it for anyone. But real quick, if you're wondering why I picked this over Uncharted 3, I don't like Uncharted 3. To me, it's the worst in the series. So, yeah. And yeah, it's not in the top 10 either. So, if you don't like that, just be nice and let me know why in the comments. So, here we go. Top 10, guys. Number 10, God of War 3. Released in 2010 worldwide by Santa Monica Studios and published by, obviously, Sony. Okay, it's not my favorite God of War. In fact, I believe out of the 5 God of War... 6 God of War, sorry, that we've gotten, it's not in the top 4 God of Wars. But anyway, it's nothing short of amazing. I mean, I still believe to this day God of War 3 is the best looking game on the PS3. And how they did it is nothing short of amazing. I remember getting the demo to this after the E3 conference, where everyone, the demo became available for PlayStation owners. Me and Devil just would, we played that demo for 3 hours straight, just taking turns doing it over and over again. Yeah, it's nothing short of, I would say, a masterpiece. It really is that good. Graphically, it's phenomenal. Story is fantastic. Ends the trilogy very nicely. Not much to do after the game, but God of War is never meant to have that. Unfortunately, Ascension added the multiplayer, that kind of thing. Yeah, some of the kills by Kratos on some of the gods is glorious. Some of these gods you want to kill because of the way they just piss you off, kind of thing. Yeah, I really can't say too much about God of War 3 without getting into some spoiler territory, which I don't want to do at all. It's on PS4 as well anyway, so if you want to, just buy it on PS4, but no point. I'd recommend the PS3 version. It's cheaper anyway. So yeah, God of War 3 at number 10, and here we go. This one's going to piss everyone off because they're expecting this nowhere near the top over, say, Uncharted 2 or God of War 3. SOCOM US Navy SEALs Confrontation is number 9 on the list. Released in 2008 for Japan and North America, and 2009 for the rest of the world. Developed by Slant 6 Studios, and published by Sony Computer Entertainment, of course. Now, hear me out. It launched like shit, played like shit when it launched, lagged, glitchy. Everything was working against the game at launch. But once the game got the big patch that it needed, and I mean, we're talking like, I remember the patch being like 3 gig. It was huge. It turned Confrontation into, my opinion, the best, arguably the best SOCOM game that was ever made in terms of its multiplayer. The multiplayer became so, because I'm gonna say multiplayer because there is unfortunately no single player to this game, which is a letdown. But the maps were fantastic. When you got a full match of 32 players, where the maps were extended, because depending on the how many people were in the match, the maps would extend in, you know, size variant, that kind of thing. It turned it into what I would believe one of the best multiplayer experiences ever made. The amount of friends that I've met playing this game, me and Devil played this game religiously. Hell, my parents would watch me play this back in the day. That's how much they enjoyed it. I loved the whole teamwork aspect of SOCOM. Has always been known for that, of course, but I loved it in this game where the community actually helped each other. They would call out to you, you know, with the headset, you know, they would, you know, say, like, say for instance you're not even talking to people, they would say, you know, oh, Private Mittens, or oh, Devil, watch out, someone's around the corner shooting, you know, shooting off and all that there. The community helped each other. They weren't toxic like others are today, you know, that kind of thing. And the game modes were fantastic. If I could fault this one game, as I said, it would have to be because of the sheer fact it has no single player, which is a shame, of course. But Slant 6, isn't it ironic that Slant 6 did a better job than Zipper Interactive did when they came back to do SOCOM? So, yeah, that's something to, you know, go on about. But Confrontation, I miss it so much. But let's move on. So yeah, number 9 was SOCOM Confrontation. So number 8, 3D Dot Game Heroes, released in 2009 for Japan, 2010 worldwide, by Silicon Studios was the developer. Now here's where it gets a bit weird. Publishers. The Japanese publisher was From Software, the North American publisher was Atlas, and the PAL region was South Peak Games. 3D Dot Game Heroes is amazing. If you're a fan of Zelda, you owe it to yourself to buy a PS3 or lend a PS3 off someone you know and play this game. Its music is phenomenal. Its graphics are phenomenal. You create your own character any way you want to create your own character. Hell, if you want to make a dick, you can make a dick. That's how weird it is. The actual game, as I said, Zelda, it's very reminiscent of the original Zelda. Because it's, you know, got a bit of From Software put in there, the difficulty is a bit, you know, spikes up a bit. I love the bosses. I love the worlds. I love the time people. I absolutely love some of the humor and Easter eggs in this game. There's Easter eggs to Demon Souls in this game. And the charm to 3D Dot Game Heroes is amazing. Gameplay wise, as I said, it's Zelda. It plays like the original Zelda. So yeah, can't really go on too much about that, can I? But number 8, 3D Dot Game Heroes. Number 7, Ninokuni, Wrath of the White Witch. Released in 2011 by Japan. Released in 2011, in Japan, and 2013 for the rest of the world. developed by Level 5 Studios. Now, in Japan, it was published by Level 5 themselves, so Level 5 had full control of their own game in Japan. But in the rest of the world, it was Namco Bandai that did the publishing. But yeah, Ninokuni is a masterpiece. I sit there and say that, and before anyone says anything, Ninokuni was on DS as well. Wasn't the same game. It's a totally different game to each other, so I'm counting it as a separate game. So anyway, Ninokuni is a masterpiece. It's very reminiscent of Pokemon, where you capture little creatures and level them up and use them to help fight. You also have a bit of, other RPGs in there for good measure. I love the characters in Ninokuni. I love the world. The graphics are very impressive and colorful, but the one thing that this game does so well that's every time I hear it, I put a smile on my face. The music. The music is utterly, it's a masterpiece. It really is that good. I fell in love with this game when I got it, and when I moved from the UK to Australia, I took my PS3 with me. Of course, I took it in the luggage. I took 3 games with me and played them like when I was in a hotel when we were trying to, get somewhere to live, all that kind of stuff, right? So I took with me God of War Ascension, Ninokuni, and I believe the other game I took with me was PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. Now, I didn't play Ninokuni until I actually touched down in Australia. So I bought the game like 2 weeks before I left because I said to I'm getting this game before I leave. So I played Ninokuni, and hell, even my mom would jump in and play Ninokuni's the blackjack and all that there and the roulette wheels, playing it there. Ninokuni it's a masterpiece. It really is. I can't fault the game at all, and I cannot wait for its sequel, which got delayed. God damn it! But I can't wait for the sequel as well. I really cannot wait for it. And yeah, you're probably thinking, why isn't it higher? The next games I think are better, but yeah. So you stay. Yeah, I just can't really. Even just talking about Ninokuni, I want to play it now. So that was number 7. Number 6, Yakuza 3. Holy shit! Wow, when Sega tries, they try and they can do so well. The PS3 era, they released so many good games and showed that they could still kick ass. But Yakuza 3 was one of those exceptions that really showed what they were capable of. Released in 2009 in Japan and 2010 for the rest of the world. Obviously, published and developed by Sega themselves. It's, to easily put it bluntly, it's sort of Grand Theft Auto mixed with a beat 'em up. Just you can't jump into vehicles, of course, and it's based off obviously Japanese, Yakuza, gangs and that there. The main character is so likable. The supporting cast is likable. The villain in Yakuza 3 he's a dick, but he's so likable. And the soundtrack. I know I've said the soundtrack a couple of times in this, but Yakuza's soundtrack, especially the final song in the game where you fight the final boss, is nothing short of one of the greatest songs in general ever made for a video game. And I highly recommend playing Yakuza 3. It's quite long, about 25 hours to clock if you don't do much of the side quests. There's a lot to do, like you can get funny little things to do, like you see a pervert trying to do these Power Ranger poses and shit like that there. But it is a beat 'em up. As I said, you pick up say you could be using your fists, or you could pick up baseball bats, chairs and that there, and you whack each other over the head, that kind of shit. But yeah, it's Japanese with English subtitles, but that's the way it should be. Graphically, it looks gorgeous still. Pity they never released 5 on disc. I won't forget that anytime soon. But yeah, sorry to go off there. But Yakuza 3, masterpiece. Here we go, top 5. Number 5, MotorStorm Pacific Rift. I've talked a lot about this, so I'm not going to go on about it too much. Released in 2008 worldwide by Evolution Studios and published by Sony Computer Entertainment. I love the tracks, love the vehicles, love the music, love the game itself. I honestly believe when an off-road racing game lets you take a monster truck through the mud while listening to Slipknot, and then the song changes to David Bowie, that's when you do a soundtrack properly. Not this shit that games are doing nowadays where the soundtrack is all the crap you hear on the news, on the radio now. But MotorStorm, it's an off-road racing game, and it's a shame we didn't get a new one. So yeah, I'm not gonna go on about it. That's number 5, guys. At number 4, we get Killzone 2, released in 2009 by Guerrilla Games Studios and published by Sony Computer Entertainment. Okay, the top 3 games that are about to come after Killzone 2 I think are better, but Killzone 2 is nothing short of a masterpiece, and it really deserved, and it showed fans that, you know, we may not live up to the hype, but we can bloody well come close to it. Killzone 1, I thoroughly enjoyed. So did Devil. We put a lot of hours into Killzone 1. So we saw the 2005 E3 trailer, you know, the whole pre-rendered shit, and even we turn around and says, yeah, that's bullshit. It's not going to look like that in game. No way. But then a couple of years later, Killzone 2 got its footage shown at E3, and our jaws hit the floor. I couldn't believe it. Like, you gotta remember, at the time of Killzone 2 released, I was playing the likes of, say, MotorStorm, Metal Gear Solid, Resistance 2, games that looked nowhere near as good as what Killzone 2 was about to look, and, you know, come out with a big smile on its face saying, you know, look how good I look. Now, Killzone 2, superb story, not the best in the series. I will admit, Killzone 1 did the story better. Multiplayer, Killzone 2 is a masterpiece. 32 people, dedicated servers, something that never came back to the series. You know, it did the whole changing the game mode. You know, 1 minute you can play in team deathmatch, next minute, you know, capture the flag, that kind of thing. Killzone 2's maps, perfect. I love them. The atmosphere of Killzone 2 was nothing short of a masterpiece. It really was. Ratchet is in my top 3 favorite video game characters of all time. That's how much I love Ratchet. And he's voiced by one of the greatest voice actors, in my opinion, Ps3. Everyone complained about Killzone 2's controls because they were really sluggish and, you know, you felt the weight of the character. Well, that's the whole point. Your character is supposed to be heavy, not some bloody Call of Duty running 40 miles an hour character. But Killzone 2, it's nothing short of a masterpiece. It's a pity Killzone 3 destroyed everything that made Killzone 2 so good, and Killzone 4 or Shadowfall is not a Killzone game. But Killzone 2 at number 4, and it's another masterpiece. Every PlayStation owner has played it, almost anyway. So here we go, top 3, guys, and I think you'll agree with one of the picks. Number 3, Metal Gear Solid 4: Guns of the Patriots, released in 2008 worldwide by Kojima Productions and published by Konami. Masterpiece, another masterpiece in my eyes. This game. People complain about how long the cutscenes are, where like the final cutscene in the game I think went for like an hour and 10 minutes, I think. And people sorry about that, PlayStation stuff's up there. But anyhow, people complained about the cutscenes in MGS4. I think they did what they needed to do, tell the story of Metal Gear Solid, and let's be honest, that's where Metal Gear Solid thrives, its story. The gameplay is stealth, third-person shooter with a lot of features to do in the game. It to me is Hideo Kojima's magnum opus and one of the best games ever made for the PS3 and games in general. It's the game that saved the PlayStation 3, and it did do this. This is not me just talking out of my arse. It's actually true. If it wasn't for Metal Gear Solid 4 coming out when it did, I think the PS3 would have bombed like the GameCube did. So, yeah. Multiplayer was really good for MGS4. I I had a lot of fun playing it with my friends, but the single player, oh yeah, it's a masterpiece. It really is. It finished the story nicely, and a lot of emotional parts in the game. So yeah, so that's Metal Gear Solid 4 at number 3. Number 2, we have Valkyria Chronicles for the 2008 release on the PS3, of course. Now I say that because it was released on PC and then PS4 years after. But as I said, I am counting it as an exclusive because it remained exclusive to the PS3 for a while. So yeah, published and developed by Sega themselves. Valkyria Chronicles is my favorite, one of my favorite games ever made as well. I tried to get my friends into this. Devil got into it. He enjoyed it. No other friends of mine that would just get into it, and it was a shame because I really enjoyed this game. I love the story. I love the characters. Except for some of the characters can be a bit annoying. The villain's a bit of a dick, but that's his whole point. The gameplay is turn-based strategy third-person shooter. That's the best way of putting it. People say it's an RPG. I disagree. It's not an RPG. I actually platinumed this on the PS4 when it got the remake. I would have had the platinum on PS3 without question. I've completed this game a lot of times, and I know this game inside out. And yeah, the graphics, as you know, is cel shaded. It looks very nice. It's one of the nicest looking games with this feature alongside Okami. The music soundtrack to this game is beautiful. It's really nice to listen to. I know I keep saying soundtrack, but I like my music as most others do. So yeah, Valkyria Chronicles, masterpiece. Please play it. You've got no excuse now that it's on PS4 and PC. So that's at number 2. So number 1 is Demon's Souls. Anyway, released in 2009 for Japan and North America, and 2010 for the rest of the world. Published by From Software. Developed by From Software. Published in Japan by Sony, Atlas in North America, and Namco Bandai in PAL regions. Demon's Souls to me is the greatest RPG ever made. Yep, I said it. I don't care. The graphics aren't great, but they make up for it in the atmosphere and the world telling of the game. The lore is nothing sort of a masterpiece. It really is, because the story's not thrown down your face, thrown down your throat kind of thing. It's you've got to learn it yourself kind of thing. And when you actually sit back and read the lore online of some of the villains, bosses, and that there, you start to piece together the world. You do this in the other, Dark Souls and Bloodborne and all that there. But yeah, it's the lore, for example, without spoiling anything, the lore behind Maiden Astaria could be the greatest backstory for any character in an RPG. It's that bloody good. But anyway, it's the original Souls game. It started it all. And I hate it when people say Dark Souls this, Dark Souls that, and you're like, but Demon's Souls did it first and did it better. Love the bosses, love the NPCs, love the music in the game. The music's phenomenal. If you own the PAL region and you buy the limited edition, you get the soundtrack on disc. The multiplayer is the best in the series. It's that good. I actually got the platinum to this game, and I went out of my way to get the platinum for Devil. So I've actually technically got the platinum to this game twice now. So yeah, that's something to be proud of, I suppose. But yeah, Demon's Souls is my number 1 PlayStation 3 game, and that's it really, guys. I mean, that's my list. I hope you enjoy. Before I finish, I will bring up a few games that I know a lot of people are going to say, where's this, where's that, so let's quickly get that out of the way. No Dragon's Crown, because as much as I like it, I don't think it's as good as the games that I've mentioned here. No Hatsune Miku games, because it's a niche genre, and I would still prefer SingStar over it. That's why it didn't get put into the runner-up or the top 20. No White Knight Chronicles, because I believe White Knight Chronicles is a terrible combat, but everything else is good, sort of thing. There's no Ninja Gaiden Sigmas 1 and 2, because the sheer fact they're Xbox games remastered, they don't count. They're Xbox exclusives in my eyes. No Mod Nation Racers, because as much as I like it, after playing the Vita version, I think the Vita version is quite better than the PS3 version. Minus not having a story, of course. But let's get to the two big titles that a lot of people are going to be asking for. The reason there's no Infamous game is because I would have chosen Infamous 1 first. It's my favorite out of the PS3 versions. Yes, I know 2 is better. I agree with that, but I would have chosen 1. And after playing 1, it's not aged very well at all. I mean, I would argue Infamous 1 is easily Sucker Punch's worst game they've made. And that's just why I didn't put it in the list. And quite frankly, the story wasn't very good. Combat was good. I didn't like the city, but that was all fixed when Second Son came out. But anyway, now let's get to the top one that everyone's going to be asking for, and I know they're going to be asking for it. Where was The Last of Us? Okay, Last of Us, I think, is one of the most overrated games ever made. It looks good. It's got superb gameplay. I really do enjoy its gameplay. I don't mind the setting. It's not too bad. But I don't like the story. I think the story is crap. I don't like the characters at all. I think they're just annoying as shit. I actually had more fun playing the multiplayer for Last of Us than I did the story, and I know that's going to piss everyone off, but that's just my opinion. And if you don't like it, that's all well and good, but just remember, opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one. But yeah, and also there's no Gran Turismo, because let's be honest here, Gran Turismo 5 was a letdown and Gran Turismo 6 was shit. But yeah, that's my list, guys. I really hope you enjoy the list, and please let me know in the comments what you think. And once again, a big thanks to Devil for getting the footage to this. Couldn't have done it without you, man, and thanks for it. Really do appreciate it. Stay tuned to my Game of the Year list that's coming soon. I'll be doing top 10 and 3 runner-ups. So that should be interesting. So yeah, sorry about the length, guys. But anyhow, this is Private Mittens. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Take care.